Hey everyone, I'm Alyssa, an Indianapolis Colts cheerleader for the 2024 season, and this is Believe in Colts.
Welcome back to Believe in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, Donald Thomas. And today we are going to go over a heartbreaking loss. Oh, my goodness. Donald, it's now 10 straight in Jacksonville. 10 damn games, 10 years straight since we have won in Jacksonville. That's stupid. That's something that I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around right now. But the way we lost kind of was an eye opener to me on a few things. What was your let's just say your reaction to the game from yesterday? Yeah, I think that's everybody's.
Right. It definitely was a frustrating, heartbreaking loss. Nonetheless, I mean, the reason why I say more heartbreaking than anything was just the way it ended. It just was not going in the Colts' favor until the very end of the game, where they decided to kind of wake up and play football. Just one of those things, man, where I told you Jacksonville's tough, man. Jacksonville's tough, and for whatever reason, there's some mojo going on down there where the Colts just cannot break that spell. So, disappointing.
Yeah, definitely disappointing. We'll get into the exactly what was disappointing and what was optimistic about that game, because there was a few things that was, brought a little bit of optimism to me. But before we do, I want to remind everybody that BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, matchup, even lines, odds, and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on the $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and your share of the $200,000. When the game's over, head over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get in on the action. Bet online, where the game starts. So this is a game where I've been singing praises of the Indianapolis Colts defensive line all year. The previous 4 games, I was like, hey, these guys are getting in the backfield, getting pressure on quarterbacks, getting sacks, making, last few games they've been, getting back there even on run plays, right? And disrupting the run lanes and things like that. This game, the defensive line was absolutely non-existent. It seemed like I don't think Trevor Lawrence got hit one game, the whole game, not one hit. And that is an abysmal stat for any defensive line, right? And I get it. There's injuries. I understand we had one starter, and then we had like a third stringer, right? That was playing on the D line as a starter, in yesterday's game. But at the same time, this is the NFL. This is next man up. You got to go in there. You got to do your job. And apparently yesterday, no one on that D line, even, my guy, Leatu Latu, even my guy, Grover Stewart, they could not seem to get back there and get pressure. And Trevor Lawrence had all day to just pick apart our secondary. And that was one of the biggest things that, I came away with in this game as an eye opener, is how bad our defense looked.
A lot to process this over the course of Sunday evening into today. So no QB hits, no QB pressures, no sacks. It makes for a long day for a unit who we've all been saying for the past couple of years still needs improvement. And so that was going to be a tough day for the corner safeties, having to cover guys and trust their eyes and not get beat. I was kind of really had high hopes for Latu coming into this game. He was getting the first start. I was hoping to see some things from him that I was hoping to see him rush the passer, have some TFLs. And it just didn't happen in this game. And this is one of those games where you got to have it. And I don't know if he doesn't understand the severity of the game or if he just can't get it done. Either or, it just didn't happen. But, that was our strong suit, was the D-line, and it was not there. You can't ask Grover Stewart to get pressure. That's not his game. Grover's a run stopper. Grover's just a big human being that just, he's clogging up 2 lanes and letting the linebackers run free. But, I didn't even see that being slowed down in the run game. I mean, Tank Bigsby, he was running with a purpose. It was hard-nosed running from him. When he needed a touchdown or when he needed whatever, he needed a yard, he was getting it, and no one was stopping him from getting it. So it was, I think Jacksonville understood this was a divisional game. We're coming out, we're swinging out the gate. They had a slow start in the first quarter, got it rolling a little bit before halftime, and the Colts had to play catch up, and luckily they did play catch up in the fourth quarter. They finally woke up. But, from a defensive standpoint, seeing guys get beat in coverage, lack of tackling, missed tackles, not wrapping all the way up, getting those extra yards really, kept Jacksonville ahead in this game. So it was tough to watch, but I'm super – I don't know, man. You guys have probably never seen me like this, but I had high hopes for this game, and I was truly let down.
Yeah, I was as well. Very, very let down. I mean, there was situations in this game with the tackling. In the first half, it seemed like we were able to stop the run pretty good. We were holding them down like 2.2 yards a carry or something like that. And then you talk about Bigsby, right? And that 20-some yard run that he had for a touchdown. I think there was 4 or 5 missed tackles on that play. I mean, how embarrassing.
4 or 5 too many.
Yeah. It was terrible. It was terrible. And look, first guy off the list, guy who I thought took a big dive in how he was playing and his production and his execution. EJ Speed.
I knew you were about to
I've been praising him the last 2 games. And it was just a big letdown this game. He missed so many tackles this game.
I think with EJ's feast or famine. Like, EJ came through and he made a great play on that inside zone. He shot the gap. Yep. You'll see those great plays from him, and then you'll see something where he'll just miss a tackle, or it'll be a bad read, or he'll get blocked, or he'll, So, he's still a young player, right? He's still learning, but we need
pick it up.
Yeah, in this league, nobody's safe from scrutiny.
Yeah.
So, I knew you were going to go right to EJ because I saw it too. I think everyone else saw it. I still think EJ's a good player, but there's just those plays that he has where he just misses the tackle. I think he's over aggressive sometimes, and I tell my guys all the time when I'm coaching football. Look, I need you to wrap up. It doesn't have to be pretty. If you're there, you can't miss. If you're there, I need you to wrap up and tackle the guy with the ball, period. And so when you see it at a pro level, it's even more frustrating because it's like, I just feel like as pros, we can't miss some of those tackles. We can't miss some of those blocks. Yes, we're human, 100%. But, at the end of the day, when plays are to be made, they have to be made. And so in a game like this, when you're asking EJ to make a play, damn it, you got to make a play.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
And, I mean, like you said, everybody's human. I understand a missed tackle here or a missed tackle there, 1 or 2 a game maybe, but there was just too many yesterday. Another guy who had an up-and-down game, Jaylon Jones. All right. Made a couple of really, really good plays, including that peanut punch at the end of that reception. Cause that fumble. But there was multiple times where he would, bite on a double move and get burnt. I mean, 2 of those monster touchdown passes from Lawrence was on Jaylon, and it was because he bit on a double move, and the guy got behind him very easily, very quickly. Again, Jaylon in his second year, making some progress. You're seeing him get better, but he's still making those, little mistakes that can cost you a game in just one single play, right? And that's a problem that we need to get addressed as well. So,
Another
it wasn't just EJ. There was multiple guys out there that were having problems. We can't just throw all the blame on one dude.
No, 100% no. I mean, when you look at it from a standpoint of, I think guys look confused in the secondary at times where, someone's supposed to have, this area in the zone and for whatever reason they went somewhere else, and safety's running across the field trying to, cover up for their mistakes. And then you have the lack of pass rush. You have missed tackles around the board, not just, from the linebacker level, but from the, DBs and all of that. So, it was just overall just wasn't like a spirited defensive showing that you needed in a game like this where I hope and pray that they talked about they haven't won in Jacksonville in like 10 years. I hope and pray that they have, schooled these guys that don't know the history of, Jacksonville and Indy matchup, how it's gone the past few years. But, there is a bright side in all the, negative stuff that happened on Sunday. I will say this: the offense answered the bell when they were asked to. When they needed to put points on the board or they needed to get plays or first downs, they actually did, especially in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely. We're going to get into the offense. As a matter of fact, that was a great segue there, Donald. You're getting good at this.
I'm getting better. At this.
Oh man! So before we get started on the offense, I want to point out one person and let Fries, the right guard. Oh my goodness, he's got my thoughts and my prayers. That was an awful injury. He broke his tibia, I believe.
Yeah, I didn't. They luckily they did not replay it because I would not watch it anyway, and I'm not looking to see it. But man, like, let's take a minute here, because if anyone knows about an offensive line injury or anything, it's me. It's tough being in those trenches. Like, every play, anybody can have a leg snap, and that's just the realization of it. You hold your breath all the time. I think that's why my mom. She developed anxiety watching me play football. She just was like praying that I get back up after every play, because it's just real in there, man. Like, so many bodies flying, different angles, different, people coming with different momentum, just coming down on your legs, people falling. You're blocking somebody, you think you got a good block, and somebody rolls up on the back of your leg and you break a leg, right? So it's just difficult, man. Like, that kid, like, I knew it was serious when everybody came out there the way he was laying there, looked all too familiar. With what I, experienced in my career. So, like, it's a blow, but, going into the season, these horrific, gruesome injuries are going to happen at some point. Like, what I'm saying? And a time that we don't need, you don't need to injure anywhere, but especially up front where we're, offensive line wise because because this is going to snowball in a sense of, not saying there's more injuries to come, but it was a Band-Aid for the game, but how do we patch this together for the rest of the season is going to be the issue that we have to see. Like, a guy can come in and play well for the rest of the game or, understand what's going on, but is he the long-term starter at that spot is the question. And that's only time will tell. But yeah, man, it's I hate seeing it, man. It's tough. My heart goes out to him.
Yeah, him and his family, because, they're dealing with it as well. As you said, your mom, was always holding her breath. And I'm sure Will Fries' family is the same way. Fries was a great he made such a big leap last year at that guard position. He became, a guy who could be relied upon to maul in the run game. I was looking at, like, the last few games that Jonathan Taylor played in, like 80% of their runs were behind him. Granted, you got Quentin Nelson pulling with it, but they were always directed in his direction. And that says a lot on the impact that man had in the run game, in my opinion. Well, not to mention he's done very well in the pass game as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why you run the ball to a certain side when you're running powers and counters and all that kind of stuff, because you got one guy who's really good at pulling, you got another guy who's great at moving people, getting to linebackers, double teams, you can run the ball behind them. So like that was the yin and the yang to that counter power situation. So it'll be interesting to see how, those gap scheme plays look moving forward, because, everybody kind of has their niche when it comes to, playing football in their position. So, and you have to play to those strengths. If a guy's, he's a great puller, hey, we're going to use him to pull all the time. So we'll run the ball opposite of him, but he's going to be in there, leading the charge. And so we'll see, but it's definitely, it's heartbreaking. There's no other way to say it, because, it's one thing from a fan perspective looking in, but like, man, like, like the road to recovery is long. It's hard. It's painful. The only silver lining is it's a bone, and, bones heal faster than ligaments and tendons and all that good stuff. So,
they heal stronger. So
they heal stronger too. So, I don't know the timetable. Hell, he could get back, if the Colts made a playoff run. I just don't know what kind of shape he'll be in, ready to go, strength-wise with that leg. Might be difficult, especially, you can kind of get away with some other positions, but offensive line. So he might really just be done for the year, which is unfortunate. But, he's a young guy, and he'll bounce back strong. And, you just hope to see him come back and play well for the rest of his career and not have another injury like that.
Yeah, I fully 100%. There's so much to talk about this offense. We'll just go ahead and just jump right into the Joe Flacco conversation. There's a lot of fans out there after what we saw from Flacco last week, and then what he put up this week. Put up some really good numbers this week. Of course, there's talk, and we've already had this discussion last week. I'm standing on that, that podium stating, look, Richardson still needs those snaps, right? And when he's ready to come back, he needs to play. But it's really good, in my opinion, that we have a guy like Joe Flacco sitting behind him.
Let me turn my hat backwards. All right. So this is going to be the question of Colts Nation. Who should be starting? Who should, be on the bench? I look at it like this. If Anthony is 100% and he's ready to go, if he's the guy for your future, from a front office standpoint, you play him. You play him. Now, if you feel there's any reservation in putting him out there, with the season being so young and you still have playoff chances, and you don't fully feel like he's going to get you to the playoffs, right? Hear me out. If I'm the GM, I'm playing Joe as long as I can. Now, I take that with a grain of salt, because I understand Joe is 40 years old.
Yep.
So Joe is only a Band-Aid for our bigger issue that we have. And just like we've had in the past with all the old quarterbacks, the Matt Ryans, the Wentzes, the San Diego quarterback, what I'm talking about, a couple years ago.
Uncle Phil?
Yes, Uncle Phil. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are only Band-Aids. So, like, how long do we really, really super, like, address this issue? Because, like, a lot of people don't feel like Anthony's the quarterback of the future. I'm staying out of whether I feel that way or not. I'm just stating what I see from right now. I don't know where you go with this, because the man threw for 348 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, right?
Yeah, way over half of that was like the last 6 minutes.
I know. Like it was
like, oh wow, there's a guy I forgot was on our team.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, those stats are a little bit skewed, right? But we don't know what the outcome would have been if Anthony would have played. We don't know. We don't. Like, you can't, there's hypotheticals, I'm not getting into that. So I don't know, man. All I know is you put out there the best quarterback who you feel like for your franchise is going to win you football games to give you the best chance of winning and getting to the playoffs.
I like that. I like that thought process. Again, to me, if Anthony Richardson is 100%, you play him. If you, like you said, if all eggs are in his basket for the future of your team, and you fully believe that, then you play him and get him that experience. And like you said, you don't know how it would have been, how this game would have turned out if Anthony Richardson played. Would it have been less efficient in the pocket? Most likely. But that also affects the run game, because the run game have been more efficient, and maybe kept that other offense off the field, where wore down that other that defense of Jacksonville a lot sooner, things of that nature. The game could have been completely different from start to finish, than what we saw yesterday. So, but yes, as of right now, you want a good passing game, Joe Flacco is your guy. It is what it is. And speaking of some of those targets he has that he's out there throwing around to, well, our slot receiver, Josh Downs, opened up looking pretty damn good in this game. Michael Pittman looked pretty good early on.
Yep.
There was some miscommunications, like a overthrow in the end zone to Mo Alley Cox. I remember that one, where he just got it down just a tad more. Yeah. It's a touchdown.
I mean, that dude's 6'5". I mean, basketball player, so he can jump.
Yeah.
So that was just a little bit overthrown.
That drive ended in a field goal. Could have been a touchdown. A touchdown wins the game. Right.
Correct.
So there was different situations. I'm going to go on the negative part here real quick with AD Mitchell. He's still looking. There's a lot of people out there that says he looks scared to death. Before he catches, before the ball arrives, and after the ball arrives. All right. That he looks too scared to catch the ball, or, when he has the ball in his hands, he doesn't want contact. I'm okay with not wanting contact after the ball is in your hands. I'm fine. Look, T.Y. Hilton made a living out of it. Marvin Harrison made a living out of it. Get down, get out of bounds, save your body when you're a wide receiver. I get it. I understand that. But you got to catch the damn ball first, okay? And that is the thing that, T.Y. and Marvin Harrison, they made it a point in their careers. Make sure you get that damn ball before you make a business decision afterwards. So yeah. I don't know if that's what's going on with AD. I haven't really, looked at the film close enough to make that decision on my own. But I hope to God that's not it, because you can't play scared in the NFL. You just can't.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was what I was about to say. Like you compared them to two guys that clearly, are Colts Hall of Famers, and one's already a Hall of Famer, and I don't know T.Y. will be a Hall of Famer, but they're different players, and everybody can't be a different player. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying what you said was wrong. I'm just saying, like, everybody doesn't have
where you're coming from.
Everybody doesn't have that in them.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and sometimes when guys realize there's another level and it's different from college, where I can, make that catch, and I can, I'm not getting hit like that, or I'm more elusive. You ain't elusive like how you used to be. These guys are a step right behind you. They're on you. It kind of changes with your psyche a little bit. And so, like, I know what you're saying with him. I think that he's got to find it within himself. It's not something that a coach could teach him or talk to him about, or another player can. I mean, he's got to just say and go out there and catch the football and get yards and preserve your body best you can, but you got to catch the ball first. Your job as a receiver is to receive the ball. And so if you're not receiving it, that's a huge red flag. So, I think that he's just a young guy, and that he has, obviously everyone has room to improve. And so he's just got to have to look within himself to make that adjustment.
Absolutely. And then there's the guy who jumps up in the air about midway through the fourth quarter and made everybody that was watching the game jump out of their seat, because that catch that said, "Hi, I'm Alec Pierce and I'm still on the Colts," don't forget about me as a receiver, where he jumped up, tipped it to him, and caught that sucker. That was an amazing play. Best play of the game, in my opinion, by a Colts player. Even though he had a 45 and a 65-yard catch, later on, right afterwards, that play was amazing. And we just talked about, AD, you got to be able to catch the ball. You got to make those catches. That is the kind of thing that I absolutely love. Him, that what we're seeing from him, and what we see from, let's face it, Michael Pittman Jr. does that on a routinely basis, right? I mean, he makes those physical, tough catches like every other catch, it seems like. But Alec Pierce, I'm seeing more and more of him this year. I think people are starting to get on the bandwagon, right, with him. saying, okay, maybe it was the quarterbacks the last few years with him. Maybe it was, they weren't, throwing him the ball because they couldn't get it to him, whether it was, deep pass or whatnot. I've seen him multiple times take massive shots when the ball got there and not drop it, right? Last year, I think he had 2 plays early in the season where he should have come down with it, right? And he didn't. One was a drop. One was just, it was a contested catch. Mm-hmm. But I felt like both of them he should have came down with. I haven't seen that this year. Through 5 games, everything that seems to be go his way, he catches it. Whether he's scooping it off the ground, right, with a play that he shouldn't be able to catch, or one that's 6 feet over his head and somehow is able to tip it to himself. He's making just about every catch that he can get a fingertip on. And that says to me, you got to find him more often.
Well, basically what you're saying is, and it's beautiful to see, but you're seeing the development and the maturation of a player right before your eyes, right? And so, like, you have to see that. Like, that's what gives you, positive thoughts about Alec. Because I remember last year it was frustration, and then you saw, a guy that takes coaching, a guy that has a high ceiling and hasn't reached it yet. And you're seeing it. We're all seeing it before our eyes. Like, I saw it during training camp when I came to a few of the practices. I'm like, all right, he's making some big time catches down the field, but it's training camp, right? Like, it's training camp. It's practice. Doesn't mean anything. Yes, you have to work on your craft to get better, but I got to see you do it in real life. And he's doing that in real life now. And so when you need a big play, you're not looking for, you're not looking for anyone else but Alec, to be honest with you. Like, I would love to see Michael Pittman be that guy, but Alec is quickly turning into the go-getter. Like, you need something, you go throw to Alec. He's going to make a play, something crazy out of nothing. And he did that yesterday, and then he had those 2 big plays to follow up and, put the Colts right there to set them up to win the football game. They couldn't capitalize and finish. So, but it's beautiful to see a guy, just get better every year. Like, you need to see that. Like, I tell guys all the time, like, you don't just get to the NFL and then that's it. Like, that's why, like, every year, like, I took 2 weeks off and I was right back in the weight room, right back, watching film, working on my craft, because you have to get better every year, because there's guys coming behind you and more is going to be demanded of you when you show it on the field. Like, that's why I tell when I'm coaching, hey, you just made a good play. Great. But guess what? That opens the door for. Now I know you can do it. So I don't need to see it 1 out of every 10 times when your numbers call. I need to see it now more 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, because you show me that you can do it. So he's showing that he can do it, and he's actually closing the deal, which is great to see, man. Like, that is a bright spot for our offense right now. Huge bright spot. I think that the run game is and I'll say this because of the injury that we suffered, so I'll take it a little bit easier on the O-line a little bit, but it was rough, man. I mean, like, Joe Flacco at 22 yards rushing with that, he was hauling ass too. I mean, he was moving. I was like, oh, Joe, don't pull a hammy, please. Please don't pull a hamstring. Because, you know what I'm saying? Like, I tell people all the time, I'm like, when I'm running with my son, I'm like, listen, that get out, that sprint, I'm like, oh, I'm about to tear my Achilles, I'm about to tear a hamstring, I'm about to do something, pull something. Because if you get to 40, bro, things change in your body. It's just not the same anymore. And so, but, I want us to talk about real quick the pass protection. Yeah.
Braden Smith had one of his worst days I've ever seen. I have to give Trayvon Walker some serious credit, because he ended up 3 sacks, multiple pressures, few extra.
And he had one at the end of the game to seal the deal. The biggest one so far. But that one that happened I think it was 3rd down. And he just kind of ran over Braden. I was like, Jesus Christmas. Like,
yeah, and you don't see that from Braden.
No,
he was usually able to hold he held TJ Watt the week before all game.
Correct. But different type of body type, different type of pass rusher, all the above, right? TJ is speed to power, right? Relentless motor. And this guy was just like, man, look, listen, I'm gonna hit you with a move. And if you don't catch up, it's over with. I've been in the corner. He literally ran down Braden Smith's chest like that one time. I was like, holy smokes. So, just two different body types. You know, everybody's different. Like I think it just was a rough day when it came to when we needed that protection. It just wasn't there like we should have had it. And so I don't know if I personally would have had someone helping him on that last play. I would have probably the tight end chipping or something like that. If I know I'm not throwing to Mo Alley Cox, he's in there blocking. He's helping me out on that side. Like, it's just that simple. Like, you have to protect yourself at all times. So I get it from a standpoint, like, you got receivers down the field. You got to get, but man, when we needed it at the end of the game, that was humongous. That, him getting that hit. So I don't know, man. It was rough, pass protection wise on the day, but nonetheless, I mean, Joe didn't throw any interceptions due to getting hit or anything like that. But you just needed better protection, and so hopefully those guys go back this week and adjust. This is a huge week of adjustments. Huge week of adjustments. When it comes
with a new right guard.
Man, I'd say Steichen's going to be down there watching O-line. They're probably, they're meeting right now, watching film and stuff, but I guarantee those coaches will be there till about 11 o'clock tonight, figuring out what's the best game plan tomorrow. Long meetings, figuring out what's the best game plan to put us in the best position. Who's our quarterback going into this week? Another divisional game. Another wounded dog that they got to worry about. Those are the dangerous ones, right? Like, Tennessee, they're playing Tennessee next week, right? I don't want to say the wrong things, right? We got Tennessee.
Possibly. I think so.
I think it's the Titans, right? I just want to make sure I'm
week 6 NFL.
Yeah, Titans.
Yep, at Titans.
So you got a wounded dog that's dangerous if you don't take care of business, right? Like, so
they just blew their team out yesterday, didn't they?
I think did they win yesterday? I believe they did. I'm not sure. Then I should Titans.
Did I overlook them?
No, they didn't play. They didn't play.
They didn't play. It was the week before that they won.
Yeah.
They blew the Dolphins out the week before.
That's not saying much. No, it's not saying anything.
Dolphins with the guys they have out over there, yeah, you're right.
Dolphins are bad right now, and not to their, it just is what it is. But nonetheless, another big divisional game, and we'll get into that in the next episode. But there's a lot to fix from a player standpoint, from the players in the locker room. More importantly, the coaches putting the right guys out there and putting them in the right positions to be able to play. Because clearly, you saw, especially on defense, it just wasn't right, and it was more of a personnel issue than anything. But guys got to understand coverages. Guys have to understand, how we're playing these teams, especially divisional games. It's got to be, I just need more spirit. I need more spirit because I'm a huge believer in, and that's why, like last week when we talked about this game coming up, and I said that guys have to understand, you have to go into these games understanding this is war. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a battle, and we can't wait to the fourth to pull off some magical, performance. We're the better football team. I'll say to the cows, Colts are a better football team than Jacksonville. Hands down, any day of the week, I'm taking the Indianapolis Colts over the Jacksonville Jaguars. But when it comes down to this matchup, it's just something about it. And it's very, very, it's difficult when they play them, and it's unfortunate that happened. But nonetheless, man, I'm gonna say this: I hate that they lost. I'm very disappointed they lost. The fact that they came back though, woke up, and only lost by 3 points is humongous. I didn't think it was gonna be this high scoring game. Jesus.
No, neither did I. Did you play for the current offensive line coach's dad in Miami?
Yeah, so Sparano.
Mm-hmm.
So he was my head coach in Miami, and then Tony Jr. We're like the same age. I saw him only a couple times. He'd pop around every now and then, but I don't think he wasn't coaching. We were both like fresh out of college.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw him a couple times, like after games when he was with his family and stuff like that, with his wife and all that good stuff. He was down there. But yeah, it's kind of ironic, like it's weird. And then here's the craziest part. Last year, I coached his son.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Yeah, his son played on my son's football team. We live in the same town, and I was telling Sparano's grandson, I was like, man, look, your grandfather was my head coach, when I first got in the NFL, and he's like, really? He remembers his grandfather. His grandfather passed away a few years ago, but
Yeah.
I was telling him stories about him, and then like every now and then I watch like an old game and I text him a clip. Like one time we come back from commercial, and his grandfather came over to the O-line because he was an O-line coach from Dallas and he got the head coach job in Miami. He was like an O-line guy at heart, and he was just over there. He's like, let's go, come on, like all in our faces while we were sitting there. We had just scored a touchdown. So I recorded real quick and I said, man, this is who your grandfather is. So, it's just it's cool to see all that kind of stuff. And you just small world, Indianapolis, and you're coaching his grandson, and his son's now the head O-line coach for the Colts. It's kind of cool to watch that, but that he knows O-line play because his dad was an O-line coach. He raised him to be, around that, and he played it growing up. So just a cool little, extra piece that, you get tied into to really want to see guys succeed.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you were talking earlier. You were talking about, how much, planning and stuff that you're going to have to do on the O-line with all the different changes and stuff that's going on. And I was like, whoa, it'd be nice to be a fly on the wall in that offensive line room, right? And then wait a minute, that's Tony Sparano Jr. and his dad was the offensive line coach for Miami, and I'm pretty sure this guy I'm talking to, he played for Miami. I think there's a jersey right behind him.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It was and here's another little tidbit, not to go all the way off track, but Tony Sparano, me and him are from the same hometown, New Haven, Connecticut. And here's another kicker. We went to the same high school. Now, obviously, he graduated high school like in the 70s or 80s or something like that. 80s probably, because he's not, whatever. But so we went to the same high school as well. So, it just kind of keeps going back with the history between us and the Sparano family. So it's just kind of cool, to know that, this guy's from my hometown. He went to my high school. Now he's my head football coach in the NFL. And then his son's now the head, O-line coach with the Colts, who I played for. And now I'm coaching the grandson, Tony Sparano III. Like, it just kind of crazy. It was weird. I'll be like, Sparano, Tony, get over here. Like, I'll call him Tony. And every time I thought about his grandfather.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
It was just cool when you see, he looks like him. Kind of has the same mannerisms, like they're like these short, thick Italian dudes, and like it just was like I was like, man, I wish you could be around your grandfather more because he was a good dude, man. But yeah, small world.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Well, appreciate that little insight look back, and I think that's going to probably do it for this episode. Didn't realize we're well into late 30 minutes here. Any final words before we get out of here?
Yeah, all is not lost. I don't know. Today I'm very positive. I was very, very negative last night. But today I'm very positive just because I see where this team can be, especially when we start getting guys back, healthy, ready to go. I really feel like the Colts can still make some noise. They got to make a decision with the quarterback situation, obviously. Hopefully they declare that to the media, to the public during the week so we're not all in, just hanging in limbo. Waiting to see who's going to be running out there to start the game off. But, if he's healthy, he should play. Hey, Anthony, if not, I'm still, I'm torn. But either way, tough loss. Another divisional game here coming up. Another, way to right the ship. Really got to run the table here in the division for the to win the division. If not, we're playing for a wild card spot, and that's just what it is. And it's part of the NFL, so we'll see what happens. Any given Sunday.
And then to me, on the opposite, I'm confident in our quarterback room, no matter who plays right now, fairly, that our offense can be effective. I'm hoping we get some defensive guys back sooner rather than later. I mean, I don't expect Buck back anytime soon, but the sooner he's healthy enough to play and wants to, which I'm sure he'll want to as soon as he's healthy enough, and Kwity Paye and guys like that, get some of those guys back. I think that'll fix a lot of problems that we're seeing right now on the defense. at least help, the secondary and such. But yeah, I'm a little more positive waking up today than I was when I went to bed last night. I'm with you on that one.
Sometimes you just got to sleep it off a little bit, man. You gotta choose your words and choose to be patient. There's still another Jaylon on the roster that I haven't seen yet. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, seen Carlisle yesterday. So
yeah.
Jaylon Carlisle.
Yeah.
But that Simpson dude, ain't seen him yet.
I hope to see him soon, man.
Yep. All right, I think that's gonna do it for myself and Donald Thomas. This was Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online, and as usual, go Colts.
Go Colts, baby.
Do you believe?